I had owned my dream beach house for exactly 6 hours when my phone rang. My mother-in-law didn't even say hello. "We're moving in tomorrow," she announced. "Don't bother arguing. We've already rented out our house." I looked at the waves outside my bedroom window, then at my husband, who had suddenly gone pale. He whispered, "Please, let me handle this." But it was already too late. Because I had just realized my dream home had become someone else's retirement plan. My name is Emma Carter. I was 33 years old, a freelance graphic designer, and after 12 years of saving every extra dollar, I had finally bought a small beach house on the Oregon coast. It wasn't a mansion. It had 2 bedrooms, a cozy kitchen, and a porch that faced the ocean. To me, it was perfect. Every late night. Every weekend job. Every vacation I skipped. Every sacrifice had led to that little white house. My husband, Noah, had supported me emotionally, but we kept our finances separate. The down payment came entirely from my savings. The mortgage was in my name. The deed was in my name. That mattered more than I realized. We spent our first evening unpacking boxes and eating pizza on the living room floor. "I can't believe we actually did it," I smiled. Noah squeezed my hand. "You earned this." Then my phone rang. The screen read, "Linda. My mother-in-law." I answered with a smile. By the time the call ended, I was shaking. "We're moving in tomorrow," she had declared. "We've already told the movers." I looked at Noah. "You knew something about this." He stared at the floor. I thought she was joking. "You thought she was joking?" "She mentioned loving the house." "Loving it isn't the same as moving into it." He rubbed his forehead. "I didn't think she'd actually do it." Neither did I. The next morning, I woke to the sound of a moving truck. I ran outside. Linda stood in the driveway directing workers. Her husband, Frank, carried flower pots toward my porch. Linda smiled as if she owned the place. "Oh, good. You're awake." I couldn't believe what I was seeing. "What are you doing?" "Moving in." "I told you on the phone." "You weren't invited." She laughed. "Families don't need invitations." I folded my arms. "This is my house." "Our son's house too." "No." I looked directly at her. "It's legally mine." Her smile disappeared. Then she lowered her voice. "Don't embarrass us in front of the movers." I thought it was finally over. I thought once I refused, they'd leave. Instead, Linda pulled an envelope from her purse. She waved it proudly. "We already changed our mailing address." As if receiving mail somehow gave her ownership. The movers looked confused. So did the neighbors. I calmly told the workers. "I'm sorry, but you're unloading furniture at the wrong house." Linda exploded. "You ungrateful little girl." Noah stepped between us. "Mom, stop." She turned on him. "I raised you better than this." "No," he answered quietly. "You raised me to avoid conflict." The movers quietly packed everything back onto the truck. Linda drove away furious. I hoped that would be the end. It wasn't. 2 days later, someone reported my house to the county for illegal renovations. Inspectors arrived. Everything passed. A week later, anonymous complaints claimed we were running a vacation rental without permits. Another inspection. Again, nothing. Then our mailbox disappeared. Then our garbage cans. Small things. Annoying things. Things impossible to prove. I knew exactly who was behind it. But I had no evidence. One evening my next-door neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, knocked on my door. "I think you should see this." She showed me security camera footage. Linda. Walking across our yard. Looking into our windows. Measuring the side fence. My stomach turned. What is she doing? I don't know. Then everything changed. The following weekend, Linda invited the entire extended family to a barbecue. At my house. Without asking me. More than 20 people arrived expecting a party. Cars filled the street. Children ran across my lawn. I walked outside in complete disbelief. Linda greeted everyone with a huge smile. "Welcome to our beach place." Our. I felt sick. Several relatives congratulated her. What a beautiful retirement home. Retirement home? She had been lying to everyone. She had told the family Noah and I had bought the house specifically for her and Frank. I stood frozen. Then my aunt-in-law quietly asked, "Emma, aren't you excited they're finally moving in?" I answered honestly. "I just found out everyone believes that." The yard fell silent. Linda quickly interrupted. "She's joking." I looked at every guest. "No. I'm not." Then came the first twist. Frank slowly stepped forward. "What do you mean?" I turned toward him. "You didn't know?" He frowned. "Know what?" "This house belongs to me. I never agreed to anyone moving in." Frank stared at Linda. "You told me Noah surprised us." Linda couldn't answer. He looked genuinely shocked. "You lied?" She looked away. For the first time I realized something. Frank had been manipulated too. He wasn't the mastermind. He was another victim. The barbecue ended within minutes. Relatives quietly left. Linda blamed me for ruining everything. But the worst was still coming. 3 nights later, Noah couldn't sleep. Around midnight he finally confessed something. "There was something Mom asked me to sign." "What?" "A few months ago." My heart pounded. It was blank. I refused. "What was it for?" "She said it was just paperwork to make things easier when you bought the house." I immediately understood. She had planned everything before we even closed on the property. She wasn't reacting. She had been preparing. The next morning, we met with our attorney. He suggested something unexpected. Send Linda a formal letter. Not threatening. Simply stating the legal facts. Ownership. Trespassing laws. Future consequences. No emotion. Just facts. We mailed it. 3 days later came the second twist. Linda appeared crying. Actually crying. I was only trying to keep the family together. For a moment, I almost believed her. Then Mrs. Alvarez walked over carrying another flash drive. My camera recorded something else. We watched the footage together. Linda was standing outside my house weeks before closing day. She was talking to a real estate agent. "I can't wait until my son signs everything over." The agent replied, "That's not how ownership works." Linda laughed. "It will after I'm done with him." Silence filled my living room. Noah looked physically ill. There was no misunderstanding anymore. No confusion. No good intentions. It had been a plan. The climax came during Thanksgiving. For years, my in-laws hosted dinner. This year, nobody accepted Linda's invitation. Instead, Frank called everyone. "We're having Thanksgiving somewhere else." He had moved into a small apartment. He quietly filed for separation. Not because of the beach house alone. Because, as he admitted, I finally realized how many lies I've ignored. Linda arrived at our house unannounced that afternoon. Noah answered the door. She looked exhausted. "I lost everything." He nodded sadly. "You didn't lose everything. You pushed everyone away." She looked at me. "I never thought you'd stand up to me." I answered calmly. "I didn't stand against you. I stood up for myself." She had no response. Months later, life finally became peaceful. The complaints stopped. The surprise visits ended. Frank occasionally visited for coffee. He apologized more times than necessary. "You never owed me an apology," I always told him. One summer evening, Noah and I sat on the porch watching the sunset. He squeezed my hand. "I'm sorry I didn't stop this sooner." "You stopped it when it mattered." He smiled. "So did you." Sometimes people ask whether the beach house was worth all the family drama. I always give the same answer. The house wasn't what I fought for. It was the right to decide who crossed my front door. Buying a home isn't just purchasing walls and windows. It's creating a place where you feel safe. Where respect lives. Where peace begins. My mother-in-law thought my first night in that beach house was the beginning of her new life. Instead, it became the day everyone finally saw the truth she had hidden for years. And every morning when I open my front door and hear the waves instead of arguments, I'm reminded that protecting your boundaries isn't selfish. Sometimes it's the only way to protect your happiness.